You've obviously worked in an industry which is fraught with rejection, modeling, acting, all that kind of stuff. Can you just, tell us what's it been like to be on the receiving end of rejection? If there is any particular rejections that stand out and how you got over them.
Yeah.
You seem like a very confident, very grounded person, and that must have taken a lot out of you.
Thank you so much. I work on that every day. I look in the mirror and I do my affirmations and I talk to myself very kindly.
Okay, so tell people about that, because people want to know how other people do it. So how do you do it? What do you say to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror?
So I have a few affirmations. I say, I am loved, I am enough, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy, I'm a money magnet. It's important for me to say it out loud, because when I say it out loud, my brain believes it, and it just gives the start of the day, very positive energy and a high vibration. I think what I learned in therapy is talking to yourself is the highest form of self-care. So a lot of the times when we look in the mirror, we look at our flaws, and we look online and we see what we don't have. And it's important for us to constantly do the work and recognize what we do have, because then it changes our mindset.
Welcome back to Rejection Rehab, the only podcast specifically designed to help you get over the fear of rejection and build lasting confidence. Each week I interview an absolutely spellbinding human being who's gone through their fair share of rejection, but overcome it and built lasting confidence in the process. Today, it gives me huge pleasure to introduce you to Isabelle Daza. Isabelle is a Philippine actress, television host, entrepreneur, content creator, co-founder of Jellytime, a sexual wellness company in the Philippines, co-host of the Sexytime Podcast, where she explores relationships, intimacy, social pressures, and the complexities of modern life with candor and humor, creating space for conversations that many people are afraid to have. In so doing, she's built a global audience of millions, a casual 3.5 million followers on Instagram, for example, through her honest storytelling online, where she shares openly about motherhood, career transitions, and personal growth. Over the course of her career, Isabelle has navigated public scrutiny, industry competition, and the constant pressure that comes with evolving in the spotlight, making her perspective on resilience, identity, and confidence especially powerful. Today, we're going to talk about her journey, the moments of doubt and rejection along the way, and how she thinks about confidence in a world that is constantly watching, and what she has learned about staying grounded while continuing to grow. Isabelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tom, for having me. Finally, we got around to doing it.
We're finally in the same part of the planet.
Exactly.
So the stars are finally aligned.
That was a very generous introduction. Thank you.
Well, I'm only as good
as ChatGPT.
As ChatGPT. Or as my guests are in real life. So thank you for being so fascinating, for enabling me to create that intro. So let's get right into it. You're the daughter of Miss Universe 1969 title holder Gloria Diaz.
Yes.
Did you find, extra pressure for you to be successful, given your mother's huge success in the actress, model, socialite, beauty queen world?
Well, first of all, growing up having my mom as a beauty queen I'm not going to say that it was like a bad thing, because it was not. It definitely opened a lot of doors for me. And it did add some pressure to be beautiful all the time. So what do I mean when I say that? When I think of my mom, that word, her name, which is Gloria Diaz, is always linked to beauty, because she was the Philippines' first Miss Universe. So when people see me, they expect me to carry that beauty with me. So definitely there was pressure, but I think also my mom was able to raise us in a way that it didn't define who we are, right? I'm so thrilled and happy that people still remember her kind of title, because that was almost 50 years ago, 40 years ago. Yeah, 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've obviously done incredibly well, but when you were, say 18, did you imagine that your life would have gone this way? Was there anything that ended up being true that you imagined, anything that was totally wrong?
So when I was 18, that would probably put me second year college. I was in university and I was like anyone deciding what to do with my future. And I was taking up early childhood education. And then after that, I did take up like a pre-medicine course, because I thought I wanted to be a doctor.
All the best people do pre-med.
And then I was faced with an option where, I was given an opportunity to be a host in quite a show called Many Prizes, which was with Manny Pacquiao. I don't know.
Manny Pacquiao.
You know. Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao and I, fun fact, we share the same birthday, December
okay.
17th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was either pursuing my kind of, pre-med. I did finish pre-med and early childhood education. But because of that, because I was given the opportunity to do a commercial with him and then a TV show with him, I kind of chose that career
nice
instead.
Guy?
Yeah, very nice guy. Obviously, world champion. We're so proud of him in the Philippines. But going back to the question, did I know that I was going to be in show business? Definitely not. It's something that I wanted to push away because it was such an obvious path for everybody. It was kind of cliche to be the daughter of a Miss Universe and an actress and follow in the same footsteps. But I think I was fighting what I knew was innate in me. Like, I'm an entertainer. I love to host people. I love to be in the spotlight and kind of be the center of attention when it comes to hosting things like that. So, and acting, I really did enjoy acting when I was a child. I was always kind of the lead in our plays. But then when it came to my high school, my college, I was like, oh no, that's not for me. I think there was also a stigma that I was fighting against and I wanted to prove myself otherwise. But anyways, here I am embracing it fully and I am so happy I went with that path.
Well, congratulations. And I just want to talk a little bit about kind of what it's like to be in the spotlight, because I recently stayed with your cousin Georgina and her husband Arthur, total legends, and I had a great time in the Philippines. Really, really loved it. But what I realized about Georgina, and I'm sure the same goes for you, is that, you're real celebrities in the Philippines. So people were asking for photos with her the whole time. But in order to stay relevant, especially today where there's social media and stuff and people want to be kind of constantly entertained, it seems to me there has to be this constant stream of content. So, Georgina was taking constant photos, like uploading them onto Instagram. And it seems like there almost isn't an off switch. And what is that the case? Do you find that there's no off switch? And if so, what do you say to other people? There's lots of careers where it feels like there isn't an off switch. Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely there is a blurred line between your personal life and your public life, especially if you grew up with social media. So Georgina and I and our group of friends were one of the first to really get on Twitter in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, or 2009, March, I can't. And because of that, that's really kind of given us a bit more leverage in our careers in the industry, because we all were early adapters, so to speak. And as we've gotten older, we've gotten married, we've dated our then now husbands, then boyfriends. It's all been in the public eye. And now that we have children, we do share photos and videos of our vacations with children. But I think the most important thing is making sure that it's not too much. I'm always very conscious to ask my son, who's 7 now, he understands, like, in the public eye or Instagram, if I can post something. Because I don't know if you watched that movie where it's like Christopher Robin, he's played by this really good actor, and he says, I didn't ask to be famous. Basically, his dad wrote, Winnie the Pooh books about him, and he was saying that he didn't ask to be famous. I didn't choose this life. He wanted a private life. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, wait, I do want to somehow give that to my kids, but it's very difficult because I grew up in that side. So I just try to find the balance. Like with my son, sometimes we'll be walking on the street and be like, why does she know my name? But it comes with the territory, right? It goes hand in hand, and it's your role as a parent to protect them, but also to kind of put that boundary.
Let's talk a little bit about your company, Jellytime.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I have something for you.
Thank you.
Jellytime tote bag, and the product.
I love the product placement.
Yeah. Here we go.
So let's talk about. So, why did you decide to get into the sexual health and wellness industry? What is this company? What is this?
So, Jellytime is a company my sister and I started around 4 or 5 years ago. It took us 18 months to develop this formula. It's a all-natural, clean personal lubricant because us women, we never like to admit it, but we do experience pain when we have sex. It's not as enjoyable for women as it is for men, right? And then we said, okay, my sister introduced a lubricant to me, and I've never used it. But I said, how, because this is something that women put in their bodies, right? And I said, is there anything cleaner? And she said, no, actually, there's nothing I know on the market. So I said, why don't we come up with something? So we took 18 months to create this formula. And here it is. It's called Sexytime. It's an all-natural, water-based personal lubricant. It's fragrance-free, vegan, paraben-free, and hypoallergenic. So it's safe for women out there who want to live like a non-toxic life. And we basically want to be the most reputable and trusted sexual wellness company in the Philippines, because addressing women's needs, right? If you look at the competition out there, it's all with a male gaze, and there's only like 2 big players in the market. So we also came out with condoms, and I always say that it's condoms for her. What does it mean? People think, oh, it's condoms for women. It's actually not. We want to change the narrative. We want women to purchase condoms, have it in their makeup kit. So we kind of take back the power. It also is extra lubricated, again, for women's needs, because a lot of the products out there are always towards a male gaze and what the men needs, but nobody thinks about us. So that's our company, and we do have other products coming out. I'm excited to be launching it.
I think I will definitely be using this, but perhaps in a slightly different, who knows how I'm going to be using this. But I also do quite a lot of running, and sometimes my nipples get very
You
chafed.
can use it for that as well.
And I'm thinking that I might try it out for that.
Yeah, definitely. It's
nothing
really
worse than nipple chafage.
Exactly. And also, if you get sunburnt, it has aloe vera, so you can put it on top of you. But let me tell you something. When people have sex with Sexytime and they use it, they never do it without it anymore. So I know when my friends have never tried it, because they have no comment. But when my friends try it, they're like, oh my God, I am never going back to not using Sexytime.
You heard it here first, guys.
But it is a topic that is quite taboo, and people don't really get, when they squirm in their seats when I say it's a sexual wellness company, they're like very uncomfortable. But
it's 2026. I think everyone needs to relax a bit.
Exactly. and it's part of our, if it's part of our wellness and our health, basically.
Sure. I think if everyone had a bit more sex, I think that the world would be a happier place.
100%.
And that there would be fewer wars. Genuinely, everyone start shagging a bit more. Okay, so let's talk about rejection.
Yeah.
That's what, getting over the fear of rejection, building lasting confidence is what this is all about. You've obviously worked in an industry which is fraught with rejection, modeling, acting, all that kind of stuff. Can you just, tell us what's it been like to be on the receiving end of rejection? If there is any particular rejections that stand out and how you got over them.
Yeah.
You seem like a very confident, very grounded person, and that must have taken a lot out of you.
Thank you so much. I work on that every day. I look in the mirror and I do my affirmations, and I talk to myself very kindly. Okay,
so tell people about that, because people want to know how other people do it. So how do you do it? What do you say to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror?
So I have a few affirmations. I say, I am loved, I am enough, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy, I'm a money magnet. It's important for me to say it out loud, because when I say it out loud, my brain believes it, and it just gives the start of the day, very positive energy and a high vibration. I think what I learned in therapy is talking to yourself is the highest form of self-care. So a lot of the times when we look in the mirror, we look at our flaws, and we look online and we see what we don't have. And it's important for us to constantly do the work and recognize what we do have, because then it changes our mindset. When it comes to rejection, I have definitely been rejected a lot of times, because in the modeling industry and in show business, you have to audition and you have to cast for certain projects. And when you are 23, 24, 25, you're still finding your self-identity. You still are after other people's, approval. And you still want to win this audition, even if it doesn't necessarily align with your values and things like that. So I have definitely been rejected multiple times, and I don't only think of rejection as not being cast for a role. It's also maybe investments or, failures in terms of investments or in other projects that you might have put time and effort in. And I feel like, oh, wait, that was a failure or a rejection in my time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Do you look at rejection now differently to how you would have as like an 18-year-old when you were kind of figuring stuff out?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I love this quote that says, "What's for you will not go by you."
Oh,
yeah.
Should have saved that one for the end.
Yeah. So when I have friends who are applying for a job interview or, hoping to close a deal, I always try to say, whatever is meant for you will not go by you.
Oh.
And that for me is the universe being aligned with whatever it is you're meant to have.
I think that's also true with like relationships,
Yeah.
Like if this relationship is truly for you, it won't go by you.
Exactly.
And if it does go by you, it's not for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a great, I think that's such a lovely way of looking at things.
And also, like, what do you learn when you're rejected? I think that's quite powerful. It's not, it's something that people don't want to look at because they just focus on not being selected. But what is the inner work that you have to do to understand why this wasn't for you or why you weren't chosen for a certain thing?
One of my favorite expressions is comparison is the thief of joy. You are constantly, being compared or being looked at online and being judged and being scrutinized and all of those things. And you also see other people, who are online and you see their lives. How do you, prevent yourself from comparing yourself to others and thinking, oh, they're doing better than I am. I wish I were there. Even though you are uber successful, but even successful people might fall into the trap of looking at someone else who's even more successful and be like comparing themselves to them.
Yeah, I 100% believe that it's something, again, you need to work on every day because we do take our phones, scroll on Instagram, see friends, in the Maldives and see friends who just bought, 5-bedroom houses and are having the most amazing ski vacations. And you're just like, why am I here stuck? So I agree. Comparison is definitely the thief of joy. I think I did a lot of inner work to understand why we feel that way. Growing up, we only had magazines, right? So once a month we would get magazines and we didn't have that feeling of FOMO or being compared side by side. But now, because of social media, because of Instagram, because of TikTok, we see more often than not what we don't have, right? Whether it be a nice watch or jewelry or that vacation. So how I deal with it personally is I always like to remind myself is these are the highlight reels of people and everybody wants what they have, which is the glory, but nobody wants to work on how they got there. So, maybe this person is having an amazing time at a vacation, I don't know, at a ski resort, but behind that is all the work they put in to be able to pay for that. And this is just kind of like a zoomed out aspect on how people live their lives on social media, right? If we constantly are comparing, we're never gonna feel like we're enough. We're always gonna be stuck. And I think one key thing that I learned, again through therapy, is you need to have empathic joy. So empathic joy is when you're able to celebrate other people's success, because it can point you in the direction that you want to go. Like if a company or if your friend or cousin or sister is doing really, really well and you feel like, oh, I want that too. But are you willing to put in this work for that? Or maybe, that's not the lane for you. Maybe you're doing something else. So empathic joy allows you to celebrate other people's success and then points you in the direction that you want to go towards.
Happiest person I know is my mum, and she's also everyone's biggest cheerleader.
Right?
Everyone else's success is her success.
Exactly.
Like, you go for it. Like she's genuinely so happy for everyone else. Also the least jealous person I know.
Exactly. And that takes a muscle that you need to work on every day to celebrate other people, because we're so, I wouldn't say crab mentality, but we're so focused on what we don't have. And we can't celebrate other people's success, which is sad.
Let's talk about being a parent. I had the honor of traveling on a plane with you yesterday.
Random.
Where I met your great husband, Adrian, and I saw your 3 kids.
And you bumped into him on a run.
And literally yesterday went running and bumped into him about 2 hours after I met him on the flight.
So that's like the universe aligning that we're,
this was meant to
today.
happen.
Exactly.
And you were traveling with your 3 kids. And first of all, I just think traveling with even 1 kid is a lot. Traveling with 3, I don't know how you do it. I just travel with 2 bags. And what has the thing that I've noticed with parents, like all my friends who are parents, is they certainly learn about patience and they all become more chilled as human beings. But I'd love to hear it from you. Like, what's it done for you?
Did you see that meme where this guy is like, I just want to be friends with parents with 3 kids, because when you have a parent with 1 kid, it's like all their attention's on that 1 kid. It's like, oh my God. Then when it's 2 kids, it's kind of like both parents. But when it's 3 kids, it's like, my house is burning down. I don't care. That's where we're at, where it's like, oh, they're hungry. They're eating something off the floor. Like, they're going to live. It's fine. Like one of my kids on the train were swinging. And I was just like, I can't control them. It's madness.
You've just gone beyond any level of kind of being able to control 3 humans.
Exactly. I don't sweat the small things. I'm like,
fair enough. I honestly, like, I've just watched it in my friends and I think it's so remarkable. And my sister as well. Yeah. She has 2 kids, not 3, but I think, it does seem to make people better people. I
think, definitely having kids gives you a bigger purpose. I just saw this meme on Instagram where it's like, people who don't have kids don't even know that they're on vacation every day. And that's true. When I had my first child, I asked one of my friends, like, when do I stop being tired? She's like, no, you're a parent now. Like, tired is just going to be for the rest of your life. It comes hand in hand. So,
I asked one of my friends who I did a residency with and med school with. I was like, what's more? Because residency is like, you're getting no sleep. You're getting like 4 hours of sleep a night and you're working really, really long hours. What's more tiring between that and being a parent? He's like, being a parent, hands down.
They did this experiment with a professional athlete where the professional athlete had to follow a toddler for like 8 hours. And the athlete was like, I'd rather train for 8 hours than follow this toddler. It was just so tiring.
So tiring,
So, stay-at-home moms need to get much more credit than they do, because it's a lot of like unpaid, laborious work.
Yeah, the most thankless job out there, but hopefully rewarding in the end.
Yeah,
I hope. So, how do you recover? Like, let's say you've had something, bad that's happened to you. You've had a bad day mentally. What's your actual process look like for digging yourself out of that? Because I feel as though the most successful people who I've interviewed, they've all got this kind of process for digging themselves out of a rut. And I'd love to hear, I'm sure you've had bad days, bad mental days, like what you've done.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is understanding yourself and being self-aware and understanding what makes you feel good. Whether it be, I don't know, eating ice cream. For me, it's going for a walk and decompressing and dancing with my kids or without my kids, listening to music that I like. When you are in a rut, you need to do things that will change the vibration of your frequency. So what does that mean? Going out, getting fresh air, movement usually is one of that. The second thing would probably be, well, for me, again, it's dancing, it's movement, it's going for a walk, understanding that your world isn't going to crumble and you need to be able, for every problem, there is a solution. So my lawyer told me that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. There is a solution for every problem. It's just a matter of breaking it down and finding out. But sometimes we get so paralyzed because we're so scared with, whether it be financial or relationship, it's like our world is crumbling. So you need to be able to take yourself out of the situation and raise your vibration. And so for me, it's movement, walking, dancing, listening to a good podcast, being with nature.
Probably this one.
Yeah, being with nature. And again, going back to why, asking yourself, why is this your problem? Or why are you in that rut, right? People often wait for motivation. And I'm like, it's not going to come.
Yeah.
You need to make it.
It's like, I feel as though the most successful people are the people who, during those times where there isn't any motivation is great, but it's like, I feel like it's not constant, it's not consistent, versus having this kind of work ethic where you're like, if you're in a rut and you have some kind of a mechanism to get out of it, you always employ that mechanism. You get out of that rut and then you get back on track. Because I think motivation comes and goes, whereas I feel discipline is something that you can stick with throughout. It's harder because it's not just an instant like, oh, I really want to do this because this is fun. It's like, okay, I've got to do this because this is annoying, but it will feel better afterwards.
Yeah, consistency and discipline. Well, it also depends on what your definition of success is.
Of course.
Right? So a lot of us, think that success is having a lot of money in the bank, and that's basically it. But again, understanding who you are and what you want, then you kind of align what you prioritize. And so I was reading this book, Mattering, and it says, no, not Mattering. I'm reading Mattering now. The book before that, it's called The Art of Spending Money. And he talks about how true success is living your life the way you want to, right? So, for example, here in Hong Kong, I'm very time rich. Maybe, I'm not one of the finance bros here who are earning like hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank account, but on a Tuesday, I get to take my daughter to school or, spend time with her at the park, which I find that for me is success, being able to give my children time and nurture them in the way that I want to. So again, going back for listeners to understand, like, what is your definition of success? Is it working, 9 to 5 or 6 or 11 p.m. and losing your hair, not getting great sleep and building that bank account? Sure, that's fine too. Or is it having a nice dinner with your family and friends, being able to be there for your mom when she calls you up because, I don't know, she has an operation, or spending time and reconnecting with your friends and giving that energy there, being able to volunteer or making a difference. So there's a whole spectrum of what we deem is successful. And I know that, especially in Hong Kong, it's a lot about having money. But I always urge people to look deeper and understand, like, what actually makes you happy.
So if someone feels stuck and they're afraid of putting themselves out there, they're afraid of rejection, they don't have the real confidence that they need for putting themselves out there, what's the first kind of low stakes action item that you would prescribe them?
If somebody is afraid of rejection,
afraid of putting themselves out there, whether it's starting a business or asking someone out, or just what is, like, do you have something that you kind of do to psych yourself up for situations like that?
I am overconfident, and I always think the worst case is they say no, right? So this is a mentality I grew up with my family, because if you don't try, you'll never know. And when I meet Arthur, who's my cousin-in-law, my other cousin-in-law Moritz, and my husband Adrian, they're very Western, right? German, British, French. They're like, no, don't push the boundaries. We need to follow the rules, and this is the box. It's step A, step B, step C. And me and my cousins were always just like, who cares? The worst they could say is no. And if you already know that, then you come in with a different, with pressure lifted off you, right? So I'll give you an example. Asking for a room upgrade. My husband is like so stressed, he cannot deal with the fact if I ask for a room upgrade. But if I already know that, 50% chance they're going to say no, but let's try, giving maybe the receptionist a tip and being like, hey, do you have a C room suite? Or do you have an upgrade? That muscle or that habit gives me the confidence to try it out, because I'm not afraid of them saying no. If I already put it in my head. And same thing with asking a girl out. Like, if you already know, or asking a guy out, if you already know that, okay, maybe she's going to say no and it's not for me, then you won't feel that much pressure to do it, right? What do you think?
I completely agree. I always say this, like, if in doubt, check it out. Like go for it. And this is what I say I've said this so many times on the podcast, is literally what you're saying, is that if you ask someone out, the worst that happens is they say no, and then you just get on with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you've probably made their day better because you've complimented them.
Yeah.
Right? So same deal in a hotel. it hasn't made any difference to their day. You haven't offended anyone.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario is they say no. Best case scenario is it changes the course of your life for the better.
Yeah, and I apply that to everything. I was shopping one time at a store in Paris, and I was like, "Can I get a discount?" And Adrian, my husband, was like, "No, you can't get a discount. This isn't the Philippines. This is Paris. Like, this is a high-end shop or whatever." And the girl was like, "Sure, I'll give you 15 off." And then I looked at him, and he was like, "What?" Like, he couldn't understand that sometimes it does happen, right? And the same thing, if your luggage is overweight, you'd be like, "Can you give me a little bit of 2 kilograms allocation?" And the girl will be like, "Actually, yeah, our flight isn't full." So practicing that, asking for what you want, I think is a very important tool that you need to sharpen. And of course, if you see that the flight is full and there's so many people, then maybe not. But the point is, like, you need to also read the room. You need to be able to be daring, because the only risk that what is the saying? It's like the biggest risk is not taking the risk at all. Right?
Another great quote. You've got to save a good one for the end.
I have a lot of euphemisms in my bag.
That's fantastic. You mentioned you have a lot of confidence. Where does that confidence come from?
Well, I've had to work on it. I'm not saying that now that at 37, I know who I am. I'm a mother of 3. I'm married. So I've over time gained that confidence, right? But again, if you look back at me at 18, 19, 20, you're still figuring out what is important to you. So I think the confidence comes from, working on yourself. So doing the inner work, understanding who you are, being self-aware that there are certain things you care about and prioritize. And that's what your North Star is. So to give you an example, I always want to inspire people to be the best version of themselves. I don't want to inspire them to want to be like me. Because when you're a content creator and when you're an influencer, people always want your life. And I always respond to my audience saying, "No, you do you. You have to figure out your life, because you can't have my life. You're unique."
And they also don't realize what your actual life is really like, because they see the end product of what you've made. Just like a podcast or a book or whatever, they see the end product, but they don't know the hours that go into doing what you do. Exactly. And that it's not as glamorous as everyone thinks it is.
100%, yeah. So confidence comes from preparation also, being prepared when it comes to work, understanding the script, understanding what you're doing today. And that's, my husband always says, like, confidence comes from preparation. So I always say, okay, I need to be prepared before I jump into anything.
Yeah. One of my guests said, confidence comes from competence. So if you become competent in something, you become confident.
And I think also I'm very open when I don't know something. Yeah. I'm not ashamed to say, like, actually, I don't know what this word means. Like, can you explain what that means? Because I don't think there's any shame in not knowing. But if you pretend to know, then that's where it's like kind of weird. Yeah.
All right. So I always rapid fire these questions to all of my guests at the end. What's your favorite book?
I try to read once a month so that I'm not only on my phone.
As in read once a book once a month, rather than just reading once a month.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Sorry. A book once a month. So one of I think it would be probably Gia Tolentino's Trick Mirror. She's a Filipino writer who is quite successful, and I've been wanting to interview her. But she wrote a book about, like, capitalism in the age of social media and influencer marketing, and it talks about how, like, how to be a good person in this day and age, because we are complicit. Like, we want to have these morals and these integrity, but we're also complicit in capitalism and how social media shapes our perception of ourselves. I need to reread it again because I read it in 2023 and I thought it was a great collection of short stories and understanding, like, when Girl Boss came about and all these companies that were glamorized being so busy and being like this amazing girl boss, and then it was the fall of Nasty Gal. I don't know if you know that's that company, but anyways, I love Gia Trickmer because I thought that her wording was just so poetic, but also in a day and age that is quite relevant to us, where we're constantly being sold things to.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie would have to be, I have so many. I would say A Bronx Tale, Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon story, Bruce Lee story Enter the Dragon, Shawshank Redemption, and The Notebook, and Mean Girls. 5.
I've got to say, I agree with you on Shawshank Redemption.
So good, right?
Got to say, I disagree with you on The Notebook, but so many girls love that movie. So
yeah. The Notebook is just like, it's part of our growing up. Like we just want to find that Ryan Gosling in our life.
What keeps you up at night?
Wait, what's your favorite book?
Favorite book?
Yeah.
Wow, no one's asked me this on my podcast. Oh my gosh. In terms of a story that I found quite fascinating, I liked John Krakauer's Under the Banner of Heaven.
Okay.
It's a modern day murder mystery whilst telling you the history of the FLDS, which is the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints.
Wow.
It is a fascinating yarn. He wrote...
is it fiction?
No. It's non-fiction. It's a real story. And he writes, I think he writes exclusively non-fiction. He also wrote, you might have read the book or seen the movie Into Thin Air and Into the Wild.
Okay, yeah.
And so he's a great, I think, storyteller. But that one was pretty fascinating from a...
Okay, that will be my March book.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that. But if you want one in terms of I think personal improvement and... because I'm really into, I just like your husband, I'm into kind of fitness, running, triathlon, all that kind of stuff. I loved a couple there. I loved Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Okay.
And The Curious, I think, I may get the title a little bit wrong, but I think it's called The Curiously Elastic Limits of Human Performance.
Okay.
Endure, The Curiously Elastic Limits of Human Performance. That was, I can't remember the author, but they were both really, really interesting in terms of just, I think, physical and emotional and mental development.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna take it down later and buy some books.
Yeah. No, they're good reads. What keeps you up at night, for better or worse? Something that you might be afraid of, something you might be super excited about. What's the thing that gets your head spinning at night?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
It keeps me up at night. Well, I try to sleep early. Today I slept for 9 hours and 50 minutes.
How do you do that as a mother?
Yeah. No, so I sleep the same time as them. When I put them down, I'm like, I'm going to sleep too.
Okay.
But I try to think about the content I'm going to create and how it can add value to my audience. I think about what's next for online and digital marketing. And then I chat GPT prompts to help me. I mean, that's the truth.
ChatGPT is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Best piece of advice you've been given or given to someone else, and it can be the same thing.
Best piece of advice that, I think right now what has really resonated with me is what's for you will not go by you.
Yes.
Because there are certain opportunities that have been presented to me or taken away from me, and I just always feel like, okay, if this isn't meant to be for me, then I'm not meant to have it. And that is something I just think about every day when it comes to working with brands, when it comes to, being with my kids, when it comes to, I don't know, just multiple things. So I like that idea.
Is that your favorite quote as well? Because I've really squeezed, I think, 2 really good quotes out of you in this episode. So you don't have to give me a third, but if you have another one.
My favorite quote when I was in 4th year high school, my English teacher, Mrs. Ayala, said, "When life gives you lemons, make lemonade." And, it's very applicable to me when it comes to being under the spotlight on social media. And sometimes, people aren't happy with what you say or you don't please certain people. I always think okay, how do I turn this into something that is going to give me lemonade? What about you? What's your favorite quote?
You are the first guest I've had who's turned the questions on me. I did say earlier, I do like that quote, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite quote at the moment.
Yeah.
Just because I think that, especially with social media now, everyone's constantly just comparing themselves to other people.
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is the only thing that you can be completely certain of is what's going on inside your own head. You cannot know whether that person who posts this seemingly faultless life is actually happy or not.
Yeah.
You look at these celebrities and then you find that they kill themselves, so they're not happy with it. You can portray yourself to be one thing, but you can only know what's going on inside your own head. So that's what I would say. Just focus on what's going on inside your head. Forget it. The rest is noise. And there's no point in looking at someone else and being like, oh, I wish I were them, because you don't know what's going on inside their head.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think if you live your life comparing yourself to others, or, you know, maybe those closest to you, you never really figure out who you are and what you want. And then it's a whole ripple effect of like, oh, why am I not happy? Right? And you don't understand your identity. I am obsessed with self-help and understanding who you are, your identity, and reading all these types of books that improve your life. So I can talk on.
I've got loads more that I can recommend. I don't want to spill them all on this podcast, but I've got loads more that I'll recommend you after the podcast. Isabelle, it's been such a pleasure having you.
Are you just saying that? I'm sure you say it to all your guests.
What? No, it has.
It's
questioning my sincerity.
Script here.
It's not on there.
It's not on it.
It really has been a pleasure, and it was so lovely to meet you and your husband and your kids yesterday. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. Ladies and gentlemen, Isabelle Daza.
Hi, guys.